Hey, what's up guys? Today we're back with another Fallout 4 mod video, and I am very excited for this one in particular because we have a video full of a lot of firsts. The mod we're talking about today is another Commonwealth weaponry release, of course, something by myself and Pig, and with this one, a couple other people got their hands mixed in as well, especially Mac, who decided to help out with something that for once, we actually didn't need any anim help on, but he sometimes just likes to force himself in to give us some really cool stuff that ended up making this a mod that I am so proud of. I think it might be one of my favorite mods we've ever done because it is jam-packed full of content, and like I said, a lot of firsts. If you aren't already aware, the mod that we're talking about is the New Vegas light machine gun, which, believe it or not, is our first light machine gun mod ever. I have like 80-something mods on my page at this point now, and somehow we haven't gotten around to making an LMG. But how fitting is it that the first one we make is the one from classic Fallout New Vegas? Now, some people might say we did the BAR, but technically we did the Colt Monitor, and I checked on this. The Colt Monitor is defined as an automatic rifle, not as a light machine gun, which is funny, just for the point of making this really dumb point that I'm making right now. Anyways, there's a lot more than that, though. This is one of the most stacked mod pages we've ever had, talking about all the crazy stuff. As usual, you're going to have a whole bunch of new custom attachments, including some really fun and fake stuff, because usually we do real guns, but the LMG from New Vegas is kinda inspired by the M249 and a little bit of M60, but only in like attachments. The main gun is completely fictional, and so a lot of our parts are as well, but they are similarly inspired by real life things, but you'll see when we get there. It also includes, of course, custom models and textures, a whole bunch of new stuff, including new optics. We have custom animations, and here's where one of the first comes in. We have custom animations for first person, third person, power armor, all the usuals. This mod comes with custom scratch-made animations by Mac for super mutants. So built into this mod is the ability for super mutants to use the LMG, because quite frankly, they should be able to. This is the perfect weapon for them, and now they will be able to use it out of the box, no patches necessary. So that is a huge first, and because of that, we're going to have our first ever Super Mutant Unique. We've never really had a reason to do that before, but since we were getting the animations from Mac, we figured we would add a second unique to this mod to give a unique to a Super Mutant, and the integration for that is super cool. Since we're talking about uniques, there are two this time around. I know we've been trying to do one lately, but it just keeps not happening because we have too many good ideas. And like I said, we had one really cool unique that I was very excited for. And then Max said that he was making us Super Mutant animations, so we figured we had to add a Super Mutant unique. Also, just going to interrupt the video. You might be able to hear, once again, my kitten has grown up a bit. Last time I talked about them, they were very small. And now they like to talk with me. And if I'm talking, they're talking. So you might hear some fun chattering in the background. Yeah. Anyways, back to the mod. A custom loading screens as usual, cool new sounds. And here's kind of a first. We technically have experimented with this already, but we have heated barrels working for the LMG, which doesn't sound crazy because that is a vanilla feature, but trust me, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So the only heated barrel weapon in the base game, to my knowledge, is the minigun, and we tried to do it once with our flamer rifle, but it had a couple of weird little issues. It mostly worked for the most part. There were just a couple of weird things, like if you click in a certain way, it would heat when it wasn't supposed to, but besides that, it was functional. But this time around, it looks really cool. We found a way to segment the heat to only heat up the specific parts we want. When we first implemented it, it was glowing too many places that it shouldn't be glowing, like wood and your hands. Now it only heats the barrel itself, and not only is it the cool glow map, but it has the heat dissipating off of the barrel, and it activates the same way the minigun does, where as you fire, it gets hot and heats up, and if you stop firing, it will start to cool down, and the heat will dispense, and that's super cool. We'll be showing that off, of course, in the animation section because it's a really fun feature. It's keeping in line with the new firsts, this is our first mod ever to have a built-in turret. So you can now build LMG turrets at your settlement. There are two of them. There is a standard LMG turret, and there's another one with a built-in scrappy shield. I think it's made out of a stop sign or a road sign or something like that, and that's really cool. This thing is ESL flagged, so it won't take up a space in your load order. And it has leveled list injection, of course, so you will be able to find this thing out in the world on enemies. like Gunners, Raiders, Super Mutants, and even Brotherhood of Steel. It'll also spawn on legendary spawns, so you can get a legendary variant of this, and it is purchasable from vendors. I think that covers all of the basics. Like I said, this mod is stacked. It has a lot more than our typical weapon release. This was a special one, and we had a lot of time to cook on it. We were working on it for quite a while, so it has quite a lot of features. Some of these things we are actually going to try to keep up if it makes sense for the weapon. Things like heated barrels or turrets, but you may not see that on every weapon, because it wouldn't make sense to release, say, a 32 revolver with a turret. That doesn't mean we're making a 32 revolver, by the way. Don't read into that. I was just thinking of something. Anyways, let's go ahead and hop in game because there's a lot to cover. I want to show off a lot of these features, not to mention one of the uniques that we're covering is going to have an entirely new dungeon that we need to play through because it's really, really cool. So let's go ahead and jump in game. I'll see you guys there in just 1 second. Alright, as usual, let's go ahead and get started with the stat block first thing first. And I have this thing configured just like it was in New Vegas, a pretty standard variation of this thing, although it does have an upgraded barrel, but that's besides the point. This thing has a base damage of about like 28. It is a little funky because I'm using the New Vegas skill system and I don't have that many heavy weapons points. And by the way, this thing does scale with heavy weapons, not the rifle perk or the automatic perk. So it's a heavy weapon, it scales with heavy weapons. It uses 5.56 rounds, has a fire rate of 109, full auto only for this guy, a range of 191, an accuracy of 64, a weight of 14.8 pounds, and a value of 149 caps. And I wanted to bring it in this config so you could really see what this thing looks like compared to the original New Vegas LMG. I tried to be as faithful as possible while making very small upgrades in places that it made sense. For example, this is the same box mag shape, but I added some small detailing just to make it pop, because normally it's a big cube. For the most part, though, we tried to stay pretty true to form. The only thing that I really redesigned is the iron sights, because if you're not familiar with the iron sights from New Vegas, it was a big brick in the back with like a loop in the front, and you couldn't aim with it at all. Now we have something that's a little bit more upgraded to what you should expect this many years later, something that's actually usable. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and check out how usable they are over in the animation testing. Alright, here we are with the animation preview. This thing uses the Riot Shotgun animations by WarDaddy as a base, but they are now modified to include some fun things like a little bit of jiggle on the carry handle when it shoots, and things of that nature. But for the most part, it's the same animation set, which I believe is also the case in New Vegas. I think they share animations in that game, so it actually makes a whole lot of sense if you think about it. Let's go ahead and just do some firing and a reload so you can see the animations and also how this thing looks and sounds, and you can even see a little bit of that barrel action. Now this is only the 50 round mag, so it doesn't get too hot because it doesn't fire for that long. Here is a look at the iron sight profile with this thing. Not terrible compared to what you used to have, but of course there's a ton of optics to choose from as well. Speaking of which, here is a little bit more of a kitted version with an optic on it, so that I can show off a bigger magazine size and exactly what that barrel does when it starts heating up. So as you can see, it gets a nice glow around it, and there's even some like heat lines coming off of it. Man, it just looks so cool for a weapon like this. I have to say, I'm pretty dang happy with this guy. We're going to go ahead and talk about uniques next, so if you don't want those spoiled for you, go ahead and skip until you see the weapons workbench menu. Otherwise, stay tuned, because these things are pretty fun. So for the first unique, I would like you to meet Nasher, and just ignore the dead Nasher on the ground. As you can see, he actually holds one of our uniques for this mod. Like I mentioned in the intro, this thing has a Super Mutant specific unique that makes use of the Super Mutant animations. And the boss himself is custom as well, thanks to Ares for making a custom Super Mutant who's a bit bigger than the typical Super Mutant, and they have their own custom armor set as well. And a lootable helmet, actually. So if you were to dispose of Nasher, you'll get not only the red maker unique that gives you some bleed damage. It is a custom bleed effect, by the way. There is one in vanilla, but the vanilla one is very, very strong on automatics. We didn't want to give that to you for free, so ours is a bit weaker, but it's still there and still really cool. It's also a custom style of paint job for the super mutant look, but it works pretty well as a raider paint job too. It is intended to look gross and nasty, so if you're looking at this thing thinking, man, it looks really beat up, that's kind of the point with this one. If you want something nicer, don't worry. Stay tuned because there is a better one. But not only do you get that, you also get Gnasher's armor, which you can give to your super mutant companion like Strong, but you also get Gnasher's welding mask, and that one is of course equipable by a super mutant, but it's also equipable by yourself, if I can find it. And hey, would you look at that? Kinda cool. So, that is the first of the uniques, but there is one more unique. This was the original one that we had planned, and it is known as the Nomad. The Nomad has a really, really cool paint job, inspired by something I saw in Counter-Strike. I know I keep bringing that up, but I was playing it for a good few weeks there. This thing has 50% more damage when you are traveling alone. Another unique legendary effect that you won't find anywhere but here. At least for now. We might add it to a future weapon, or now that people have seen it, they might add it to their own mods. But you won't find it in the vanilla game, that's for sure. Now, if you want to get your hands on this guy, you're going to need to make a journey over to Nuka World. And quite frankly, I want to take you there. So let's go ahead and cut to when I'm at the newly added dungeon. So, like I said, you're going to need to head over to Nuka World. Specifically, you're going to need to start your journey in Bradburton. This is an unmarked location, or rather, not a standard location at the very least. So that's going to be your place you're going to want to start at. That is to the east of the main park. It's a nice little town here, but we actually don't want to head into town. We want to head down this way to the river. Now, I didn't show off the custom silence sounds, so I'm going to bring a suppressed version of this thing. That way I can clear the dungeon with it, and you'll get to hear the sounds. Very, very cool. So, if you keep heading this way, somewhere around here, we'll just ignore that worm, there should be a newly added drainage pipe. And quite frankly, it looks like it's kind of always been there, which is, I think, the best way you could integrate a dungeon. So if we head inside of this thing, we're going to be going to a brand new sewer dungeon. And I will say, it is very dark, but I kind of want to keep it that way because that's part of the ambiance. You can throw on your light as much as you want to when you play through this yourself, but to stay true to the dungeon, I kind of want to keep it that way. Off rip, we can see a frag mine here. And it is kind of hard to make out what exactly is going on. There's a dead scaver. And that's a turret. Oh, Jesus. Okay, yeah, so this thing is booby-trapped to hell, basically, is kind of the bit here. We just got shot at by a missile launcher. That's no good. I'm gonna make a save. I believe this is where the dungeon spits you out, so... Jeez. I don't even know what exploded there, but there was a turret there. That's actually one of the custom turrets, funny enough. The one that you can make now at your settlement. It comes with this LMG, so that's pretty cool. That's a tripwire. I won't fall for that one. That's a lot of grenades. I think there's another one right here. So yeah, the idea here is some crazy guy has the cool unique, and he's trying to hide it behind all this. So this is the death hallway. This was my contribution. I had the idea of having way too many explosives and 2 missile turrets at the end there, and I did nearly die. Thankfully, I wasn't kind of standing in here. Oh, and one of them was a skewer. That's fun. That happens automatically with leveled lists. Okay, let's hotkey some stim packs because this might be a little too crazy. This part is a maze. So, I guess I should mention this isn't necessarily a guide as much as it is a first time going through it. I did test it once. That was weeks ago, and I don't remember anything about that. So, this is practically blind, as it could be. That's a tripwire. For sure. And that's a flamethrower. Okay, very cool. Very cool. I really like the fog in here. It gives some cool ambience and makes it so you can't really see the traps laid out in front of you. Like that one. Jeez. I think I remember Pig saying that he hid a key somewhere in here too, so if you do explore...
Lock's really strong.
I bet it's in that safe. If you do explore, like, you can get rewarded for that. But... I don't know where it is, and it seems I found the exit, maybe? Oh yeah, you need to get through an expert lock.
No way.
You know how the thing goes. I never prepare for this. Here we go. And we'll open the door. And here we are. Oh, that's another mine. That's another mine. And another one. And danger. I don't know what the danger's coming from. Tripwire. Explosive. Tripwire. That's a... I caught all the laser tripwires, but not the real one. Okay. We'll just let that clear out for a second here. I do see our prize right on the other side of this door.
Won't be able to pick
Of course.
this.
Of course. I can't unlock it. Wait, maybe I can.
Don't think I can pick this.
1 second. This is a stupid perk system. It's not stupid, I love it actually, but I need to stop using it on this profile. Okay, so now we lockpick open the door so that it's open, and then we can go into the prize room, which is a little lackluster because it was meant to be a hideout shelter for this guy who is no longer with us. But you know what he does have? The Nomad. And this thing's cool. Totally worth the effort coming all the way to Nuka World and solving this crazy death trap of a dungeon. But it's really cool. Like, I really like this thing. He's a fun guy. Alright, and finally we need to talk about the attachments over at the weapons workbench. We're already pretty long on time, so I'll try to be quick. For receivers, we have standard up through powerful. It is automatic only, so there is no advanced. For barrels, we have a bunch of variations. So the New Vegas style barrel actually isn't the standard because I wanted you to be able to upgrade into it. That way it's still one of the better choices for a barrel that you know you want to use because it is the New Vegas style that looks so cool. It's M60 inspired up top here. It's the only one with featuring a carry handle. I like this thing a whole lot. Now, the standard barrel is actually this thing right here. We have the short and long version of it. Every barrel variant that changes the forestock and heat shield here is going to have a short and long version. So this is going to be the standard sort of barrel. Then we have a light set in short and long as well, which is kind of like a mini-me, but with a bunch of Falloutified designs on the top and bottom, which I think looks really cool. We have the New Vegas style heavy barrel. We have a completely custom ergonomic barrel, which looks really, really cool. That heat shield design and that grip, I think, look sick. And it seems like some of you guys really like it too. I see it in screenshots quite a lot. And then the tactical barrel, which is going to be solid steel. Not a single bit of wood or plastic. It is the really heavy but really cool looking barrel, in my opinion. Then for stocks, we have the standard stock, which is the New Vegas stock, because quite frankly, for once, I think there is a better option visually. There is the light stock here, which is going to be made of plastic instead of wood. Has a pretty cool design based off of a real M249 stock we had seen before. Then the one I think everybody's going to like is the heavy stock, based on an FN Mag style stock. This thing looks cool. Solid hunk of wood, and I can imagine most people probably want to use this. But there are other options, of course, with recoil compensating, sort of that paratrooper style stock. And then a marksman stock based on another real-life M249 stock I had seen, but we converted it and made some changes to make it look a little bit more Fallout-y. So, gotta say, I think it looks pretty cool. You can mix and match most of these stocks and barrels and come up with some pretty fun designs. Now, for the magazines, we have the standard drum, based on the one from New Vegas. Comes with 50 rounds. And in New Vegas, the extended mag attachment just takes this and stretches it out long ways. That's one thing we decided not to keep. Instead, we gave you some cool visual distinction. So, this is the 50 rounder. For 100 rounds, we have a massive drum. A circular drum that we thought looks really, really cool. Adds an interesting idea for those of you who want it. But then we have the 150 rounder, which is a gigantic, proper LMG box mag. This thing is loaded with bullets, and it has a really, really cool aesthetic. I think it's very dope if you want a proper, heavy-looking LMG. This is probably the one you want. But if you want to be a little bit quicker, you can use these as well. For sights, we have standard iron sights, glow sights, the dot sight, which is the aim point, and the hollow sight, which is still the Bushnell, but I learned during the development of this mod that Bushnell, well, I actually don't know if it's official or not, but some people have made these covers for the Bushnell that almost give it the style of an EOTech, but it's way older. I love the EOTech, but I've always thought it didn't really fit in Fallout that well in terms of the design, but this is a much more retro take on a similar profile, so I am happy as can be because I love the Bushnell. So adding this cool little shield over it is actually super sick, looks just like a hollow, and it fits really well on this weapon. We're not going to overuse that, just use it when it makes sense, but it definitely makes sense on this guy. Here we have the Trijicon Reflex, a laser sight, an ACOG scope in the form of the combat scope, the short scope, medium scope, night vision scope, a recon scope, thermal scope, and that's everything. Really thought there'd be a long scope. Huh. But yeah, everything you could possibly imagine. Putting thermal on so your guys glow infrared is pretty dang cool, so that's a fun way to run this thing for sure. For muzzles, we have no muzzle, a flash hider, a bayonet, a compensator, a muzzle booster to increase fire rate, which looks like it's on crooked. I didn't know that. I don't know why that is. That's really interesting. I'll have to ask Pig. Sorry, that really distracted me. We have a big honkin' muzzle brake there, as well as a new custom suppressor, which was my take on the vanilla assault rifle suppressor. I wanted a short, chunky one, and I think this thing looks a bit cooler, to be honest. I think it's pretty neat. Cool knurling, a fun little front piece here. I like it a lot. Then we actually have a bipod section. So one thing that some people seem to be confused about with the classic LMG is that it has these nubs here on the end. So when you're holding it in first person, you have this weird triangle shape. Most people never knew what that was. It's actually a mount for bipod. So we added that bipod that New Vegas didn't have. You can have it folded up proper, like you should carry it, or you can have it extended as well, which is also pretty fun for the aesthetic. And finally, we have an accessory slot where you can throw on a flashlight, laser, or VATS module if you want it. I usually don't run stuff like that, but it's there if you'd like a little bit of a boost or you just like how it looks. Oh my goodness, these videos keep getting longer than I'd like them to be. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. I hope you guys like this one. I think it's a fantastic mod, and it seems to be really well received by you guys as well. It seems to be doing really well on Nexus, so if you do enjoy it, consider helping out by dropping it an endorsement over on the Nexus or dropping this video a like, letting me know that you do enjoy these kinds of things. Also, if you'd like to support me in a more direct way, you can do so over on Patreon, but that of course is completely optional, not something you should feel like you need to do, purely there for those who want to. Once again, I hope you guys enjoy the mod, and I hope you enjoy the video, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.